In this lecture I need to illustrate one important topic, but first I need to discuss one thing, which is we have two types of calling the APIs, which are a synchronous call and asynchronous call. What is the synchronous API? If an API call is synchronous, it means that code execution will block or wait for the API call to return before continue. This means that until a response is returned by the API, your application will not execute anything. It is a kind of performance issue in your application, but at some situation it is very important to be synchronous call. Sometimes synchronous call doesn't have performance issue, like if there is a code in your application that will only execute probably once the API response is received. Now what is the asynchronous API? Asynchronous call doesn't block or wait for the API call to return from the server. Execution continue on your program, and when the call returns from the server, a callback function is executed. The important point here is that the program execution will continue, and asynchronously, the callback function will be called once the program execution complete. At our case, suppose that we have two software components, software component A and software component B, and we need a client-server interface here. Then we create the client port at the software component A, and we create a server port at software component B. From the side of the software component A, which is the client port, we need to give access to this port to a particular runnable. The mean of to give access is the client port will be called when this runnable will be invoked. Okay? This access has two types. The first one called synchronous call and the second one called asynchronous call. We will first illustrate the synchronous call types access. When a server runnable created for a server port at software component B, the server runnable can set the time limit, which you can call it the timeout. Once exceeded the time limit, you return a timeout. But as the synchronous call blocks the execution, we can define a limit, which is the timeout limit, to prevent the delay time from the server side to respond with the result. As you see here, when the client starts the RTE call, it starts with a timer to track the timeout event. Besides that, it waits the result from the server side. If the result received first, so there is no need for the timeout event, but if there is no result, so the timeout event will occur. Be careful that using the timeout configuration is not mandatory, so you can ignore it if you need this. Thank you and see you in the next lecture.